I think my biggest thing was like building the urgency. I think is just crazy, like because people, what I get a lot of is I'm not so busy right now, or excuse me, I'm in no rush, I have time, right? These market watchers, and everyone's a market expert now. And so, I've been watching the rates, even to this day with rates, going down and down. I'm getting a lot of people that, the rates are still low, I have time. So whether it's that or any other scenario where people believe that they will not position themselves out of the market, I want to get much better in building that urgency and making it something that they want to follow through with. So along those lines, I would group this all together with shoppers and people. I mean, this is outside of the rate table stuff. This is when things are not good, if I'm still can be able to survive.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is the one way to put it.
Okay, cool. So really it's just a matter of the best techniques to stress urgency and to take action, right?
Urgency and action, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, when I was going over the acronym of Midas and talking about, finding their intent, right? What I'm really talking about is what results that they need, right? And so typically when we have a conversation with a borrower, their primary goal is to get some sort of cash. That cash is going to do something for them. So even if it's rate and term, they're technically looking for cash because they're borrowing money, right? They're borrowing money at a lower rate though, and the reason why they want a lower payment is because they need to allocate that difference to something else. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's kind of like, let's say you rent a house or you own a house and you really want a car, right? Let's say you want a nice fancy car, but that car is like $500 more than what you're used to paying. So if you, unlike us, our consumers and our borrowers, they can only really rely on overtime or an increase in pay. So they don't have like commissions typically, right?
Yeah.
And so then they got to get creative and say, okay, well, where can I create savings? And because the mortgage is one of the biggest things, the perception of the consumer's mindset is that if I lowered my rate, then I can create some savings, but they don't know how much it is, right?
Yes.
And so they believe that if I lower it a quarter, it's going to lower my payment, but if I lower it half a point, it's going to double my savings. They still don't know what it means.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I guess where I'm getting at is, regardless if you're talking to a consumer who thinks they want to wait it out and wait the market, you have to figure out first what is the intent, like why do they want a lower rate to begin with, right? And so a good question to kind of peel that layer back is ask them and say, okay, great. So when we do lower your rate, and you almost assume that we are, right? You say it like we are. Say, when we actually do lower your rate, where do you plan to direct that savings? Would you put it towards retirement, your checking and savings, or would you put it back towards the principal to pay this house out faster? And so they're going to answer one of those three, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to say, you know what, I'm actually going to free up some cash so I can pay off some debt. That's where the root cause of the pain is coming from, is because they need to lower the rate to pay off debt. That makes sense?
Yeah.